Here's a Turbonetics T66 that we repaired. It has a big shaft. This is a big shaft turbo, right?
Yeah, ball bearing.
Oh, so it didn't even take a normal big shaft rebuild kit. The TO4 seal is the same for the big shaft and the TO4 kit. The main difference is the front seal and collar and all that stuff. And of course, since Ian said it was ball bearing, there's some parts you can't get, which makes it near impossible to fix. So that's the original compressor housing, and then we converted over to something that we could repair for this guy. So this one is a T67, which is 66.6 millimeter by 84 millimeter. This turbo is good for up to 950 horsepower. Here's the original parts. It's just a single ball bearing with this thrust bearing bolted on, and that's the collar right there. So a lot of these parts are going to be hard to find, and I just wonder why I'd really want to go back single ball bearing with it anyway. Here's the drain tube, which is probably part of the problem because it's a 90 degree and you really need to at least, well, you want it to be straight as possible. If you could get away with a 70, you'd probably be fine. Of course, it did come out a little distance before he put a 90 in there. It'd be better off with a 70 though. Just a look inside. And the journal bearing. So this turbo could have been still good and blowing oil if this drain here was the problem. Some people think that the seals get blown out if that happens, but it's not true. Sometimes it can blow oil even when the seals are still good, and that would be a reason why if the drain was too small. So we used the precision cover. It's a .70 non-anti-surge. We used his turbine housing, so everything is replaced besides this exhaust housing. We upgraded the turbine wheel to a 66 millimeter, like a PT66 millimeter turbine. So we basically made this into a 6766. Ian machined this out for this turbine. I think originally it had like a, well, let's see what it had. So originally it had some kind of weird turbine that you probably can't get. I think it mimicked a P-trim turbine or something, which is like 64 millimeter. So that's how you fix a turbo that is near impossible to fix unless you want to send it back to Turbonetics. This compressor housing uses a plate called an H plate. If you have the correct adapter plate, which we do have, you can mount this compressor housing on a 6.0 Ford Power Stroke turbo. It may not make that much sense since this compressor housing doesn't have an anti-surge option. However, we just got our own compressor housing and plates that do have the anti-surge option and that are machined for the upgraded compressor wheel. On the reverse side, this compressor housing would fit onto a TO4 turbo if you had the H plate to adapt to the TO4. This plate is not the same as a TO4 H plate. It's a GT40 or GT37 H plate. The main difference is the way the plate mounts to the bearing housing. And the front seal is different too.